Welcome to the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast. This is a sacred space where healing begins, intuition awakens, and your spirit remembers its power. I'm your host, Barbara Savin, author, energy healing specialist, hypnotherapist, and spiritual life coach. For over 35 years, I've guided thousands of souls to protect their energy, trust their intuition, and step into their most empowered self. I invite you to join me for heartfelt conversations, spiritual insights, and gentle practices that nurture your soul and inspire your daily life. And together, we'll explore how to rise above negativity, trust your inner wisdom, and embrace the truth of who you are, a divine, radiant being of love and strength. So take a breath, settle in, and know you are not alone on this journey. You are loved. You are supported, and you are more powerful than you've ever been told. So let's rise together and join me now as your host. So thank you for joining me today, and welcome to the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast. I'm your host, Barbara Savin, and today's guest is someone who is truly changing the way women over 50 experience their bodies, their health, and their confidence, a conversation so many of us have been waiting for. So joining me today is Lisa Swanson, and she is a coach with over 40 years of experience helping women with weight loss and wellness. And on her 50th birthday, Lisa had a powerful realization. It was time to stop focusing on outdated methods and begin helping women her own age who were struggling to feel seen, supported, and understood. And that insight led her to create Body and Soul Coaching, designed exclusively for women over 50. And through her three-pillar approach, aligned nutrition, progressive overload, and empowered thoughts, Lisa helps women finally see results without deprivation diets or exhausting workouts. And she is also the founder of Metabolic Design and the private community Fit Over 50, where women reclaim their energy, their strength, and their vibrant lives. So, welcome, Lisa, to the show. I'm so excited to see you today and have you here.
Oh, Happy New Year to you too. I am really excited to be here too. Obviously, this is near and dear to my heart as well. And just being able to you're helping me get this word out to even more women, which is really powerful because, women need to hear this. They need to hear it.
Yes, they do. And I wish you were around like, I'd say about almost 30 years ago when I went through all this. So, let me ask you, because I was looking through your bio, what happened inside, of your 50th birthday that actually made you realize that was time to change your focus for women,
Yeah.
like us over 50?
It was I felt it. I went for a walk. I went for a walk because I was feeling lost. So I felt completely lost. I was in a transition of like, I knew I wasn't happy where I was with the businesses that I had. It was part of a franchise, and I'm not putting franchises down. I just didn't feel aligned with it. I didn't feel connected. I didn't feel super happy going to work. I loved helping the clients, but something was missing. And then somebody said to me, well, listen to your intuition. And I went, what intuition? I was like I didn't even feel a connection to spirit. I said, oh my, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And I didn't know where to begin. And I started reading books and listening to some things. And it was like, how do you tell you what your intuition was? And it was a very, very simple thing that somebody said to me. Just said, have two statements in your mind. I stay with the business I have. And then say, okay, does this contract me or does it expand me?
Mm-hmm.
And then say, and I already had the name, Body and Soul Coaching. I knew what I wanted to do. I said, have the name. I now have my own business, Body and Soul Coaching. Does that expand you or contract you? And that simple little step right there got me to asking that about different things. And then my intuition, just like a muscle, you exercise, started getting stronger and stronger. I started feeling connected to spirit. I started studying. Now I still have my businesses. I didn't leave them yet, but I knew that's what I was working towards. And I went through, I can't remember what book, it was an abundance book where they gave you exercises each day, and the energy just started growing and growing to the point where I remember a woman walking into my studio and she said, "Oh my God, the energy in here is just vibrating." And I was like, "Oh, this is incredible." And then like sales were going through the roof. Literally, they were like crazy. I didn't know advertising, and sales were just coming through. And the people of the franchise, they say, "What did you do? You know, what was the advertising?" I said, "I did no advertising this month." And they're like, "Oh, what do you explain this happened?" I said, "The energy is just right."
Just
And
the-
this is when I started getting into that energy. So I said, "Okay, so where does my energy need to go?" I want to help these women. That's what's lighting me up. That's what's feeling in my heart and soul, that I need to connect with this woman because they don't know where they're going. They are lost as well. They are confused as well. So it's not just physical, it's in our head. It's like, how are we going to connect to ourselves? And once we can connect to ourselves, we can then connect to and know what we need nutritionally, what we need physically. So you bring all of it together.
Boy, that's some story. Let me tell you, I had actually the same story because
Oh, really?
I lived back east, Brooklyn. And and my daughter lived here in California, and I was going through this menopause, and I had a very good job. Um, but I something was just not right. Excuse me. And we finally made the choice. And mind you, I was doing my, energy work and healing, but also in the corporate world. And then we finally made the choice to move to California because, again, that intuitive feeling said, you need to move west. You need to get out of here. You need to go west. And we finally did, with me going through all this crazy making menopause. But then I ended up getting a job at the Four Seasons Hotel in Westlake doing energy healing and hypnotherapy and everything that I was supposed to be doing. And I finally found my true calling and purpose because I listened to that feeling, and it took me away from the craziness where I was living. But I was still going through all the menopausal symptoms, like the hot
Right.
flashes and the weight gain and all this. But it's amazing when we finally make that choice to change because we listen to this feeling, and this feeling never steers us wrong,
Exactly.
and we need to
Exactly. As
just
long as we're tuned into it,
right.
right? Yeah. You have to, I think you have to be grounded in order to be
Mhm.
able to listen to that intuition. If you get all up in your head, and which I can do, I'll be first to admit it. I can do this. I get all up in my head and I can let things start going up in here. And it's like, and then you don't know what to do. It's like, okay, take a breath, go out for a walk,
Uh-huh.
breathe, and just bring that energy down into your body. Like just embody that. And then the intuition starts coming through. Then you can start hearing what you need to hear.
We shouldn't look at menopause as something that's horrible. It actually is a really good thing because it gives us it puts us into our different season, you could say, you know,
Yes.
right?
Yes, I
Um,
love that. And because I always think about it, say, look at this amazing time in our life we're at. We've been through all the crap of our 20s, trying to figure things out in the 30s and the 40s and the hustle and the bustle. And you know me, you're like me, I'm sure, well, you've been around during that stage where it was like a badge of honor to hustle all day long. I worked 14 hours a day, aren't I
Mhm.
wonderful? So like we've been through all that, and you reach this point where yes, you're going through these changes, and when you figure out how to deal with it, they're not so bad. Or I can't speak for everybody. Some people have a really difficult time, but so I don't want to minimize that for anyone. But when you're going through this and you realize, I know what I want, I know what I don't want,
Mhm.
so I can now go for that, and I can shape this third of my life, which is a big part of our life, to whatever I want it to be.
Exactly.
That's pretty powerful.
Yes, yes, it is. And all we need to do is realize that we do get into our power. And I always say when we're in our late 40s, early 50s, things start changing for us. And we do realize what is it that we really don't want and what is it that we do want.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so let
definitely.
me ask you, like your own body was changing, after menopause.
Mhm.
What do you feel was the most like surprising or frustrating that you actually experienced going through all this?
I think, well, I was always busy. I was the type that was always busy. I worked really hard. A lot of people said too hard, and now I agree with them. I did work too hard. It was how all that stress caught up with me.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize I was going through perimenopause because I was competing in a fitness competition. I was running 3 businesses. I was busy. I didn't even realize I was in perimenopause until I was like, oh, wait a minute. I haven't had a menstrual cycle in over a year, right? So it's like, how did I not know this was happening? But then realizing that the stress, my body wasn't able to handle it. And like in my body composition was really changing. The shape of my body was changing. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm doing all the exercises that I normally do. I'm eating healthily. Something's changing and I'm not sure why. I've got to investigate and figure this out. So that was surprising, come from somebody who my entire adult life was about being in shape. I had to present myself as being in shape. It was a huge part of my identity. So when that started changing, it was like, I better do something about this. And then going for a checkup with the doctor and said, I am losing some muscle and, body fat's coming on. Like, and she's like, oh, you're fine. And I said, no, I understand that, but
Mhm.
it's changing. And she goes,
Changing.
you're 50. Deal with it.
Deal with it.
Yeah, deal with it. You're 50. You see, I think her exact words were, oh, honey, that's not going to change
Yeah.
now.
Mhm.
And
Don't
I
you
was
love when they tell you that?
I know. I responded to her and I just said, do you know what I do for a living? And I said, you absolutely can change this, right? My body's not going to defy science. You can change this.
Well, that's it. It's amazing how, like, even for myself, I was always very thin. But once, I mean, now I'm 77 years old, so things are definitely different now. But I wonder, why is weight loss so different? When we get to that certain age, or we're actually in menopause.
Mhm. Well, okay, so this really speaks to all the different pillars, but one of them is aligned nutrition. Well, okay, there's aligned nutrition, there's empowered thoughts, and there's the progressive overload. But when you go through menopause, our hormones are changing. Our estrogen drops way down. Estrogen protected us from the effects of cortisol. Everybody hears about cortisol now. We all know the stress hormone, cortisol. So as cortisol's rising from stress in your life, from not getting enough sleep, from over exercising, under eating, estrogen used to protect us from that. It counteracted all of that. We don't have that now. So now it's really affecting us. And what cortisol does is, with especially a chronic cortisol being elevated, it will put body fat on, tells your body to store body fat, and it also breaks down muscle, which is our
Oh.
metabolically active tissue. So we really need to be working with our stress levels, right? We need to learn how, and people don't realize, well, I'm retired now, I'm not stressed. It's like, but are you under eating? That's stress. Are you over exercising? That's stress. You have to look at all the different ways that your body or your metabolism sees stress, because people believe that our metabolism is a calculator, right? Calories in, calories out.
Mhm.
Simple. But it's not that simple, and it's not a calculator. It is more like a stress barometer. So it's measuring all these stresses. If you get all these stresses coming at you, your metabolism is just going to adapt down or go into what's called metabolic adaptation. And it's just going to slow down and say, if you're not going to give me what I need, 8 hours of sleep, rest, some nice relaxed walking, strength training to build my muscle, the nutrients to support that, then I'm just going to hold on to what I need. I'm not going to have the energy to burn this fat. I may need it. I'm not going to have the energy to build muscle because that's metabolically costly, right? Because your muscle takes up energy. It costs you to have energy. It costs you metabolism, right? And your metabolism's main job is to keep you safe and keep you alive. So if you've given me enough energy to keep me alive, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep all your functions running, right? Your nervous system, your endocrine system, your brain, everything. I'm going to keep that all running, but I'm not going to do those other things because you're just not giving me anything to work with. So that's one of the main reasons. And then, to add insult to injury, when we're doing this, we grew up in the diet age. So things aren't working, and you say, wow, I'm not losing weight. Let me lower my calories. Let me cut out those carbs. It must be the carbs. So people cut out the carbs, and now your body has even less fuel. So it's even more stressed. So it just doubles down on adding body fat. It doubles down on letting go of muscle, right? And then now your hormones are out of whack and you're not sleeping well, which causes more stress. So it's sort of like it just starts festering and growing, and then people don't know what to do, and they're like, okay, I exercise more, I'm eating less, and they're just causing stress instead of coming back here, right, where you lower your calories just enough and you exercise just enough to keep you on the edge of dieting. Not this much, that's stress. I like to tell people I keep you on the edge of dieting. We're going to lower the calories just enough so that you're at a deficit. And we're going to add a little bit of exercise to keep those muscles strong, add the strength training, the right type of exercise, so that you can create what you're looking to create, which is a strong, lean, capable body.
So do you think all these low carb diets are actually good for women, that are experiencing menopause?
Well, I mean, you do have to watch your carbohydrates. We are more sensitive to carbohydrates because of our hormonal makeup now. We are more sensitive to it. But as you get healthier, you go into metabolic flexibility. So metabolic flexibility is the body's ability to be able to handle whatever energy you give it, whether it's carbohydrates or fats, and it can flip between the two. So as you get more metabolically flexible, you can handle more. But in general, we don't handle as many carbs as we did when we were younger. We don't have as much muscle, which is another reason for that strength training, which is pillar 2, progressive overload, making sure you're working on strength training to build muscle, not going to boot camp classes. And I don't want to put anybody down. I'm not saying these boot camp classes are no good or they're not fun. I mean, you can get, you can cardiovascularly, you're working, you are working your muscles, but I'm talking pure strength training where you're lifting heavy weights, low repetitions to get that muscle on. That's what our body's going to respond to, and help us to find more balance and become more metabolically flexible.
Do you feel yoga is good for women in menopause?
Sure. Because we also, I mean, it's not just strength training that we need. We want a very well-rounded body. We want to be working on all areas of physical fitness, which is muscular strength, muscular endurance, flexibility, um, functionality. We need all of that. Yoga, I would put in, depending on what type of yoga it is. I am not a yoga instructor. I never got into that part of it. It didn't do it for me. It's wonderful. I think it's an absolutely essential part, but it just didn't do it for me. But yoga is like, you can do that relaxing yoga, which is really nice when you're doing movements like yoga, that relaxing type of yoga, going for walks, doing things that bring you out into nature where you're moving but you're not elevating your heart rate. Those kind of things are very good to keep that metabolism up without increasing cortisol. Because just think, when you go, if you stretch, it's very relaxing. You're moving your body. So your metabolism has to hike up a little bit. It's moving your body a little bit. You're burning calories, not a lot, but you are burning some, but no cortisol is being increased. It's a wonderful thing to do after you eat, by the way. Right after you eat, do some stretching, go for a nice walk, and relaxing walk, not a power walk. Go for a nice relaxing walk. It's a great way to help your digestive system and to keep that cortisol low while that insulin is running around your blood because you just had a big meal.
Interesting. So, all right. How do you think, like, I know with people, they start, looking at their bodies and their thoughts drive them insane because they feel ugly and look at me, my body's changing. How do you think, like, our thoughts actually play a role in all of this?
Our thoughts play a big role. These are the empowered thoughts, the third pillar. Now, when you have a belief, I always like to say you cannot outperform your thoughts. If you have a strong belief and you look in the mirror and you say, I look terrible, I'm never going to get in shape. And then you try to go into a program to get into shape or do it on your own, whichever route you take, you're always going to end up living up to that belief, that core belief that you have about you, to the point that if you start making progress, you will start self-sabotaging without even knowing it. I had a client who was doing fantastic. She was losing weight steadily. And she had this very strong belief that I can only lose X amount of weight and then I can't lose anymore. Very strong belief. Now, remember, we have these neural pathways in our brain. In that belief, the more you do that, you just create this superhighway of that belief, right, in your brain. So she strongly believes that. And she got to that same point again, and she just could not lose any more weight. Doesn't matter what I do, I'm not losing any weight. And then you start realizing, oh, well, she wasn't logging her food all the time. She wasn't showing up for all the workouts. She was missing our coaching calls, like all these little things that was sabotaging her. But then when we got into a discussion about, okay, why do you suppose you can't lose weight now? What's your thoughts around this? And I always get stuck here. I said, I know, but did you also notice you self-sabotage here? Right? So why is the self-sabotage? What is your fear of success? What's the fear moving forward? And it started coming out as we talked deeper. It was, wow, if I lose the weight, I can't use my weight as an excuse for not getting the promotion, or that I don't have a partner, or I can't, or other people are going to expect more from me now. What if I lose the weight and gain it back? Then what will people think? So she had all these fears around success. But when we were able to discuss it and have her voice that and just let it out, just release that, let it go, literally the next week, she lost a pound. And the week after that, she lost a pound. And every single week, she just went down, just lost. And it was release. It was release of that. And she was holding on to so much so, Barbara, that to the point where when we had this discussion, she was already down 25 or 30 pounds and she had not bought any new clothes.
Oh,
right.
Interesting.
And it's like, why are you not doing
that?
Right?
I'd be running out and buying.
Exactly. But when you have a fear of success,
Yeah.
when you have a fear of what's going to happen when I get there, who am I going to be? Right? Because now I'm getting into your identity. What is your health identity? That plays a big role. If you see yourself as unfit, as somebody who doesn't move very much, who doesn't like to do physical activity, or doesn't have the energy to go on hikes, if you see that about yourself, you won't be able to do those things. You have to really change or make a shift in your health identity. Who are you? So it's, where are you now? Who is this woman you want to be? And how are we going to change that gap? How are we going to get from here to there? So that you can stop believing in you and stop believing, oh, I am somebody who does this, and start saying, I do like to go for walks. And maybe you can't do a 5-mile hike, right? But you can say, I go out for a 10-minute walk every day. And they do that. And then you say, hey, I did that. I'm somebody who goes out for a walk each day and I follow through, boost in confidence. Then you start going for a little bit longer walk. And then maybe you try a bike ride. And just with all these small little steps, you keep doing things that boost your confidence and you start becoming the person that you want to be. Right.
So how is she doing now? Is she fine? I'm curious.
She's not a client right now. She was doing wonderful, but now she's not a client anymore, but she did very, very well.
Did very well. So, all right. So that's somebody on that end. Now, what about if you have someone that eats healthy, exercises all the time, but is still gaining weight instead of losing? How would you help them turn that around? Because here they're not sabotaging themselves. They're doing the right thing, but yet, during menopause, there's the weight gain.
Exactly. So what they're probably doing is what they did 10 years ago. This is, I eat healthily, but are your macronutrients in balance? So you could eat healthily, say you're taking in 1,500 calories. I'm just going to make up numbers. You're eating 1,500 calories, but 60% of it is coming from carbohydrates. 20% of it is coming from protein. And another, what's left? 40% is coming from, no, that would be 120. Another 20% is coming from fat. That's not the right balance for her. So what I do, when somebody first comes in, they say, hey, I'm eating healthy, I'm exercising. Why am I still gaining weight? So what that tells me is, she's out of balance. Her nutrients are not aligned. She doesn't have aligned nutrition that matches her metabolism, and she's probably not fueling her workouts. Very, very commonly, women are working out, and it's usually, well, I do strength training, I run into the gym, I just do a couple of circuits of whatever. They don't have a plan, that they do that. That's the problem. And then cardio, 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 cardio. I'm on the treadmill, I'm on the elliptical, all of those machines. And then they just say they eat healthy, but they're not tracking it. They don't realize that they're not getting enough protein. As I'll tell you, Barbara, protein is probably the number one thing. The very first thing people should think about is getting their protein in.
Okay.
So the first thing I have a woman do when they come in is just track their food. Just track your food. Don't change anything. So I can take a look at what you are doing. So it'll be like, all right, so now Barbara's tracked her food. I can see what you're eating and you're telling me how you're feeling. Now I can start making some changes. And it could be that, and more than likely, the protein isn't there. You see, when we were younger, we had more enzymes to break our protein down into amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein and how we utilize the protein. Now we don't have those. We have enzymes. We just don't have as many. So we need a lot more protein to make up the same amount of enzyme, same amount of amino acids in our body. And people will be shocked. They'll come in eating maybe 30 grams of protein a day, 60 grams of protein a day, when what we actually need is around 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight.
Oh, wow.
Wow. See, even you're saying, wow, wait a minute, that's a lot.
Oh, now I know why I've gained weight.
There you go. But just think about it. Our cells, they turn over at a slower rate, but we're losing. We are naturally losing muscle. Every decade, we lose 3 to 8% of our muscle from sarcopenia. It starts in our 30s and it speeds up every single decade. So we need that protein and that strength training to build that muscle back on, to protect our metabolism, to protect our bones, to protect, our health. So we need, and since we are turning over every single day, protein is not stored in our body. We utilize it every single day. So I'm telling my clients, and they're not liking it in the beginning. I'm saying I'm 25, 30 grams of protein per meal, right? And they're saying, but I'm so full.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of food. It's like they're very, very full. And it's like, well, that'll push out the other stuff that you weren't supposed to be eating, right? Right? Because maybe their carbs were too high. If you're eating 1,500 calories and most of it is carbohydrates and fat, that's not going to give you a lot to work with to build up this strong body that you want to have well into your 80s and 90s. Now, if you switch, you could have the same calories and change that macronutrient makeup, right? Increase those protein, decrease the carbohydrates, increase vegetables, which are carbohydrates, but have more of your carbohydrates coming from vegetables and getting healthy fats in. Now that aligned nutrition for your metabolism balances out your hormones. You start sleeping better, mood swings stop, night sweats stop, hot flashes stop. You start feeling more energized to be able to get through a workout in the gym. It's amazing how different you feel. I have clients come in and they'll start out with saying, oh, this is too much protein. I can't do this. And then they start eating it and their body gets used to it. And they say, I'm starting to get hungry. When we're always like, my coaches and I are always saying, this is wonderful. This means your metabolism is really starting to heat up here a bit. And then saying, I'm eating more than I ever ate. I'm working out. Like I'm able to lift heavier than I ever thought I could. And my clothes are fitting better. I'm leaner, I'm stronger, and I feel better about me. I've had so many people let go of emotional eating habits where they're just snacking. We're just, because we're working on all of this as they're telling us what they're dealing with. It's very individualized, but you just need to address that part. What are those thoughts going on in your head so you can follow through with getting that protein in, with getting the workouts in. And it all falls into place. It's not always, it's simple, really, but it's not always easy because, it's still a journey. It's, and every journey has its struggles.
So if someone, like I'm not a meat eater, but I eat vegetables, but I drink organic protein because me and meat don't do too. I just can't do it.
I don't eat meat either.
Yeah.
So I don't eat meat either.
People that don't eat meat, what do you tell them then? What type of protein should they take?
There's so many things out there. I mean, you can supplement with the protein powder. I mean, read the label, make sure it doesn't have a lot of junk in it.
Hmm.
I will eat eggs. So I'm not vegan and vegetarian. I will eat eggs, pasture raised or local, neighbors, chickens, eggs. Um, I will eat a plant-based Greek yogurt that's
Hmm.
out there, like not dairy. I don't do dairy either. I eat tofu. I eat seitan, which is like made from wheat gluten. So if you're gluten intolerant, that wouldn't work, but that has a lot of protein in it. I will use protein powder. Um, tempeh, which is another form of soy. It's just like it's fermented, so it's not as processed. This what else do I use? I will use faux meats sometimes too. There are some good faux meats out there that don't have many ingredients in them. There's Beyond Burger and things like that out there. I will use those sometimes. I'm trying to think, what did I have today? I had a protein drink and I had tofu in a salad. Those are my first two meals for today. But there are things out there, and you also got to think of layering proteins in. Like, say you have a salad, you can also add some hemp seeds to it, which is a fat but has some protein in there. So just to add some in, or I might have something where I add nutritional yeast to it, which adds another like 5 or 10 grams of protein through that. And it takes tracking and takes practice because we're all so different in our habits. So once you start tracking, you start realizing, oh, okay, now I see where I'm lacking, and maybe I can just increase the serving size of what I'm eating, and that will make a big difference.
So you're saying that they should eat what, between 20 and 30 grams of protein per meal?
Hmm.
Oh, wow. I'm
Yeah.
going to have to be drinking a lot of my drinks.
Well, look for some whole food sources too. Look for
Mhm.
like if you like tofu, get some tofu and just cook up a batch of it and have it ready. You can throw it into salads. You can have it with a stir fry. So many different things that you can do. And there's lots of great recipes out there. I have a recipe I found from it was another coach. It wasn't my recipe for like a vegan protein pancake that was made with vital wheat gluten. There's just so many different things out there. You do a search for vegan high protein meals and you'll find a ton of different recipes that you can use. Just be careful that you're not using, if you're vegan, that you're not using carbohydrates as your source of protein, because then your carbs become too high. And by that I mean if you're using beans and legumes as your source of protein,
Oh, okay.
like those carbs can just add up very quickly. I mean, they're not bad, but you don't want to always be eating them. You're going to have a very difficult time losing weight if you're focusing on carbohydrates. It's very hard to lose weight if you're getting too many carbs in.
So like lentils and all that, then you're talking about.
Right. Now, I'm not saying don't have them. I
Hmm.
love them. I eat them too. But I
Hmm.
might have, instead of lentil being my protein serving, I might make a power bowl. I love to make my own power bowls. I'll do a vegetable stir fry. I add in a bunch of tofu, and I use like the super firm because it has even more protein. I add tofu in, and then I'll add like a quarter cup of lentils.
Yeah, just
You know,
something.
just
So,
to get a little bit of carb and to boost the protein up a little bit more.
so do you feel that because of our lack of maybe protein, a lot of us then, I guess it's a common mistake when you're trying to build like a strong, lean body.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's the protein.
It's absolutely protein. I've had people start with, well, I haven't even gotten to their other macros yet, and they're just starting with protein. And they're like, oh, wow, I've already lost a couple of pounds just by doing this. So yeah, it's hugely important. We really need that. We have to get that muscle back on us. And you're not going to get muscle back on you just by having protein. You can increase and increase and increase your
Mm.
protein, but if you're not doing strength training, you're not going to build the muscle. The protein fuels those workouts so that you can build the muscle.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
And what about the age of 77?
You you can, there have been studies, and I wish I
Oh,
could quote specifically what they are, but there are studies that have proven you build muscle exactly the same as we do in our 20s as when you're in your
oh,
90s.
okay,
The
interesting to
only
know.
difference is it may take longer because it takes longer for our cells to turn over.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, like I know like for myself going through menopause and I could see the change in my body. And sometimes I look nice. Why I don't even recognize myself, anymore. How can you help women get over that, when they do see a physical change?
Mhm. Well, they've got to be following the steps, right? The aligned nutrition, progressive overload, empowered thoughts. I think I would start with with some changes, finding their starting spot, like I told you, but also working with, let's try to learn a little bit of self-love here. It doesn't mean that you have to give up on your goal, but you have to learn to say, I love myself just the way I am right now.
Hmm.
Because when you lose your weight, you're still going to be that same person, right? You're you whether you lose the weight or not. So take some time each day to just say, I love myself for my intelligence. I love myself for my eyes. I love my sense of humor. I love that I like to read. I like that I'm kind to animals. Whatever it is, say something. I once had
Wonderful.
somebody, a spiritual mentor that I work with, and she had asked me a question about, she goes, what are your top 10 personality traits? What do you like most about you? I went blank. And it shocked me a little bit. I went, um,
I don't know.
I know. I said, I'm a hard worker. And she goes, let's go
Hmm.
a little bit deeper than that, Lisa.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. And she gave me the homework that each day I was to write out my top 10 traits. Like what did I had to come up with 10. I was like, oh, in the beginning it was really hard and it feels kind of funny. And you just like, and then took it to another level, look in the mirror and look at yourself and say, I love you.
Yeah.
You are, you're worthy. You are, you're worthy of whatever it is you want to have. You are intelligent. You are beautiful inside and out. You are um, creative, whatever it is you want to say to
Yeah.
yourself. And
Hmm.
just say, or even just saying what gratitude, this is a big one. Because a lot of times when people work on gratitude, because I think gratitude is hugely important in our spirituality, because we need to feel that gratitude to connect with our guides and with our angels and to feel all of that. I know when I'm more in a state of gratitude, it raises my vibration and I can really feel the support all around me when I get there. And part of the gratitude, I used to all be on the outside. I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. There are other people who don't. I am grateful for my family. We love each other unconditionally. We have fun together. But I never said anything about what I was grateful for me,
For me.
right? I'm grateful for my legs so that I can walk down the street and I can run if I want to. I am grateful for my eyesight that I can see. I'm grateful for my ears that I can hear music and have conversations with other people. Just starting to being grateful for your body. Those things can just bring you into a place of loving yourself, because it's very difficult. Again, I'm going to go back to, it's very difficult to reach a goal when you have these underlying beliefs about yourself or thoughts about yourself that aren't aligned with who you want to be. Right? It's not going to change overnight. We're not going to make those shifts like
No,
that, right? We've been thinking this and feeling this. Unfortunately, women have been feeling this way about themselves since their teen years, right? And we need to change that. And
we
it's
have,
just going to
yeah.
take time to change it.
It's important. I always, look at my hands, as because I'm a healer, but I look at my hands in a different way. Yeah, my hands help me heal. And let me tell you, the healing work definitely helped me through menopause. But our hands do so much for us, which many people don't realize that they can't comprehend. Well, it helps you feed yourself, put clothes, take a shower. Our hands do
Right.
everything. So yeah, gratitude for ourselves is utmost important.
Right.
Um, and I do that every single morning. I sit and everything I'm grateful for, and then of course then I put the gratitude on me, and then my last thing for myself is I always say, Barbara, I am enough. I am
I
enough.
am enough. I like that. I love that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
growing up, I
When
think,
did that start happening, that we didn't believe we were enough?
right.
When I don't know when it began or when we're taught, because we weren't born thinking we're not enough. We didn't come
No,
into this human existence, this human experience thinking I'm not enough.
it's funny. I was on a podcast, and one of the questions was, what sometimes a thought in my mind that is a little toxic. And I thought about it and I says, it's not all the time. It's like once in a while, but I say to myself, I I am not enough. But then I say, no, Barbara, you need to stop that. Yes, you are enough. Get that thought out of your mind. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's amazing how our thinking, especially as we age as a female,
Yeah,
begins to get a little crazy making out there.
it does. Well, I think back just to the history of women. And so when I was in high school was when women could first start getting their own credit cards.
Hmm.
So, I mean, because we was looked at as second-class citizens for
Yes.
quite a long time. So we were definitely brought up to believe the man goes out to work, you stay home, you serve him. My mother was definitely feminist, so we didn't have a lot in my family, but it was out in society, regardless of what's in your home. It's out in society. And I just remember like myself and friends always being on diets, always wanting to lose more weight. And I think back to how thin we were and all we wanted to do was lose weight. It's like it's crazy. It's crazy that we had this image of ourselves. Our image of ourselves was low of not being enough that we couldn't even look in the mirror and see this young beautiful woman.
Oh yeah, because I remember like even for myself in high school. I mean, I graduated in 1966, so back then it was a little crazy, but
Yeah,
boys would tease you, but yet you would look at them and say, "Look at you," you
yeah.
know, look at you, and you're teasing me. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's amazing. So, but yeah, we need to know that we're worthy and that we
Mhm.
are enough, which is so important, and
Yeah.
that'll help us look at ourselves in a different way. And my grandma would always say, Barbara, you need to look in the mirror and say, Barbara, I love you. And it took me the longest time until I finally looked one day in my eyes and
Yeah.
I said, Barbara, I do love you. But it did take a while.
It feels strange to do
Hmm.
it, doesn't it? When you
Yeah,
first, it feels very strange to do that, but it is an important step. So anybody listening, just try that. Try that today. Go look in
yeah.
the mirror, in your eyes, like Barbara said, in your eyes. I love you.
I love you. I
Yeah,
am enough. I am worthy.
yeah.
Hmm.
And see what comes up.
Hmm.
That'd be something to journal about, right? What came up? What feeling came up when you first said that? Was it like, oh, no, I'm not. Like, go start writing. Go start writing right now and see why that came up for you.
Right? Mine used to say no, no,
Yeah.
you don't love you. You don't deserve to be loved. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah, that's a good thing to journal. And I think women get away from that because once they go through all this menopause, they besides the mood swings, the hot flashes, and all this other things, they forget about themselves. They forget about who they really are.
Yeah. Well, and we're busy pleasing other people too. We're
Hmm.
people pleasers. I was just thinking that that kind of ties in with the not being enough. It's like because we're taught to put other people first. And, and it's wonderful to be compassionate. We do want to put other people ahead of us, but not to the point that we're not taking care of us. I
Hmm.
had one client who she would miss workouts. She goes, oh, a friend called me and you have to answer the phone. And she wanted to talk. So I had to talk to her. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't even have to pick up the phone. And she goes, it's like they'll leave a voicemail. And she goes, I know, but I grew up in the day where we didn't have voicemail. And so you had to answer the
You
phone,
had to answer.
right? So we got her to the point where she would pick up the phone, answer it, but she would say, I'm going to call you back. I'm busy right now. So I'm like, I'll call that a win. That's wonderful.
That's
So
yeah,
yeah,
it's
that's a
setting a
good step.
boundary. Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
we need to do for ourselves.
Yeah. Setting
So,
boundaries so that you can follow through with your nutrition and with your workouts and your sleep and everything else you need.
so I'm curious. What do you think of the menopause those creams? God, for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it. That a lot of doctors give you, and you put it on your wrists or whatever.
Like the
Uh,
estrogen creams.
that's it. Thank you. Yeah.
I am not educated in hormone replacement therapy. I think
Okay.
that's just personal to each client. Um, what I would say to somebody, don't rush to do hormone replacement therapy. And again, I'm not saying ignore your doctor. I am not a doctor. This is not my area of expertise. But I would say try first aligning your nutrition, getting your workouts in, de-stressing, get your cortisol levels down, get your sleep down, get yourself grounded. If you work on those things, you may just, I can't tell you how many clients have alleviated menopausal symptoms without any HRT. So I'm not saying don't use it. I'm saying you may not need it. Like
Need it.
give yourself a chance to try it without it. That's personally what I would do. But everybody, you're your own person. You have to make your own decisions and talk with your doctor about it. But a lot of times these symptoms are exasperated because we're not eating in a way that's aligned to our metabolism and our hormones. And when you get that, a lot of those symptoms go away. So like every week we have check-ins with our clients, and this is in my coaching program. We have check-ins with them every Friday, and we always ask them, how did your last week go? Did you lose, maintain, or gain weight? And what signs and symptoms did you have? So we want to know, were you having mood swings? Were you having trouble sleeping? Were you hungry? Were you getting cravings? Were you having hot flashes? We ask them these questions because we know something's off in their nutrition if they're feeling this. And then we'll tweak their nutrition, we'll tweak their macronutrients, and the next week they'll go, oh, mood swings are alleviated. I slept so much better. I have more energy again. I'm not craving anything. Like, okay, great. You're in balance. Keep going with what we just gave you.
Now, what about the hot sweats? I know for myself, when I had the hot flashes, as a hypnotherapist, I would visualize myself, going into like a very ice cold area. I played a lot with my mind
Yeah.
because my mind actually then helped my body, and I was able to
Yeah.
alleviate a lot of those. What do you tell them, when they go through all this crazy? Because I know a lot of them go through really bad hot flashes.
Exactly, exactly. And that's another reason why I would say, talk to your doctor, because it's not my area of expertise. I
Mhm.
just do the nutrition. And then I don't get a therapist because I should have you come talk to my clients about hypnotherapy or self-hypnosis. And one of my clients asked about, can you bring somebody in to talk about self-hypnosis? But so I do, again, all I can deal with is the nutrition, the exercise part, and and
Just
some of the
big.
thought part. But that's a little bit outside of what I do.
Okay, well, the nutrition and the physical, that's huge.
Yeah.
Because I know for myself that was very big, and I know I needed to make some changes. And just
Mhm.
talking to you now, I'm saying to myself, I need to
Gonna
add a
make
little
some
more.
more.
I need to put a little more protein, eat more of that tofu and stuff, and cut out the lentils. Well, eat some of it, but not as much because
Exactly.
that's the carbs. So it's like these little things that we can tweak and help us like tremendously.
Yeah, it really can. It can be overwhelming and sometimes in the beginning. I mean, obviously, it's why I have a job. It's why I'm a coach, because it can be overwhelming in the beginning when you're like, okay, I've tracked my food. I see that something's off. What do I do? How much do I increase my protein? Because if somebody is only eating 30 grams of protein a day and they weigh 150 pounds, I can't take them from 30 and bring you up to 150. You're going
Hmm.
to have digestional distress. You're not going to feel very good. You could possibly gain weight. So we want to make sure your changes are gradual enough that they are bringing you towards where you need to be. And it also depends on when somebody comes in, they may need to go into weight loss. Like people come to me, they're looking for weight loss.
Hmm.
And we might be, okay, we're going to lower your calories, but only by a couple of hundred. We're going to balance your macronutrients. And they, boom, right from the start, they do great. But then you can have somebody who comes in who's, like you said, I'm eating healthy. I feel I'm eating healthy. I'm exercising all the time. They're usually eating too little and exercising too much. And then what we have to do is reverse diet them, which means we have to gradually increase those calories to get them to a point where they're eating enough so that their body will let go of body fat. So it really depends on where you're at to begin with. And that's where having a coach can really help you dial into which direction do you take. And hopefully that coach is like we do, we teach you
Hmm.
what to do and why you're doing what you're doing so that you'll know what to do moving forward.
Which is so important. And I think I know even for myself, I said, oh, maybe I just need to eat less, even though I was eating healthy. But eating less made me gain weight.
Yeah, it was too little. Your body
It's
didn't
too
like it.
little.
So that's data for you, right? And so I say, data is wonderful. That's information. So if you're anybody out there that's saying, okay, I'm going to do this, if you get to that point where, like, well, I did this and I lost weight, great, you have information. When I do track it, write it down. This is what I ate, caused me to gain weight. Don't go there. Increase the calorie. Did you do better that way? Now oh, I must need to start increasing. So it's always, or look at the macronutrient balance. Okay, I ate less, but my protein went down, my carbs went up, even though my calories were down. So, there's so many different angles to look at it, but just remember, everything that you do is data. It's information moving forward of what you should or should not do.
Oh, there's so much to learn.
There is,
That's why
there
we have
is.
you here.
Exactly, exactly. Well, 40 years of experience. I've got a lot of knowledge up in this head. And
That's
then I
so,
have coaches that work with me who have unbelievable experience themselves. And
it's a
yeah,
lot
so
of
we,
years.
yeah, a lot of years together.
Well, that's why I say the older we get, the more wiser we become.
We hope.
Well, yeah, that's true also. Yeah,
We hope.
some of us don't, but I say a lot of us too, though.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Oh, wow. I could talk to you forever, but well, gee, where can my listeners get a hold of you and find
Well,
out more about your coaching and everything?
yeah, come to my website, bodyandsoulcoaching.com. You can go to my website. You can email me directly, Lisa at bodyandsoulcoaching.com, because I do have my group coaching program. And I also have a supportive community, which is there for people who don't want the full coaching, who want more of a, go at your own pace, a little bit slower pace, but still have support. I'm in that community every single day helping. I do live Q&A calls in there. I do office hours where I'll just pop in and people can ask me questions. And I have a whole success path that they can follow on their own. So it's a different type of support, but a lot of people, what I love about that is it's just building this community of women where we can support one another, because I think that is a big thing that is missing. And we
Yeah.
women, we need this, right? We need to be there for each other. We're not on this journey by ourselves.
No, we're
And
not.
whatever's going on, there's other people that are women just like you that you can meet, that you can connect with, you can message each other privately. So it's a really nice way to build up a big community. But of course, if you really want somebody holding your hand through it, and a lot of people do, and you want to go through my coaching program, then I can tell you all about that. Again, just reach out to me and I can direct you either way.
So is some of it online or do they have to come in
Everything
person?
is, no, everything's online. I don't
Oh,
do anything in
okay.
person. Everything is online now.
Oh, that's good to know. One more time, your website.
Website is bodyandsoulcoaching.com. Everything's spelled out.
Ah, thank you so much, Lisa.
Well, thank you for
I
having me.
yeah, it's like it's a lot to learn, but
It
there is
is.
hope, you could say, for all of us out
Yes,
there.
absolutely is hope. And
Mhm.
as your coach and my other coaches, again, they are phenomenal. We walk you through it. You don't have to worry about not understanding something. We're going to break it down for you. You have a check-in every single week with your coach for her to help you. And then you have group coaching calls, and there's so much support that you get that you don't have to worry about going down that internet rabbit hole trying to find those answers, right? I mean, how many people have done that where you look something up, next thing you know, it's 2 hours later and you're like, now I'm really confused.
Mhm.
But we have all that information. This is what all our certifications are in and our degrees are in, so we can help you through that.
That's so much to, well, thank you again. And well, to my beautiful friends out there listening, I hope today's conversation touched your heart as much as it touched mine. And Lisa's story is a beautiful reminder that it is never too late to feel strong, to feel vibrant, and at home in your own body again. And let me say that if you're over 50 and you're feeling frustrated or unseen, please remember there is nothing wrong with you. You are simply in a new season and you deserve support that honors who you are today. And again, Lisa, thank you so much for today's interview and for sharing your wisdom and your compassion. And of course, thank you to my beautiful listeners for trusting me with your hearts. And until next time, I'm sending you all so much love, light, and healing. Love, Barbara.